Hey, don't turn it off yet. Here's what's coming up on the Nice Guys on Business.
And what happens is we get busy with the small actions.
Yeah.
And they prevent us from getting the big actions. So in order to go from 50 hours a week as an entrepreneur to 10 a quarter to 10 a year, you've got to reduce the actions that you take, but increase the outcome, the reactions.
The circuits that cannot be cut are cut automatically in response to a terrorist incident. You asked for miracles, Theo. I gave you the Nice Guys on Business. Go from where you are now to where you could be. Get expert tips to grow your business, to be more productive and more efficient, whether you're trying to build influence, grow your community, or make it rain. Best-selling author of Nice Guys Finish First, Doug Sandler, can lead the way. The Nice Guys on Business is produced by TurnKey Podcast Productions. Now, here's your host, Doug Sandler.
All right, Nice Guy community, what do Southwest Airlines and selling your business have in common? Well, if you're the real Jason Duncan and me, a lot. We met in row 14. Jason took the window and me and JJ took the middle and the aisle seats. Now, here to talk about the real world action steps of exit without exiting. This is going to be cool. Welcome, Jason, to the Nice Guys on Business podcast.
It's good to see you again after our chance meeting in row 14.
How crazy is that? You know, we started talking Nice Guy community. We started talking about, I forget if it was about business or about podcasting. I think JJ picked up the ball. Did she start or did I start? I don't even remember how we started.
Well, I think it's just like anything else. We were chit-chatting about the seats in the airplane, and she was kind of holding your spot because you're 6'4" and you needed that. We were in the exit row. So she was sitting in the place where I normally sat or normally would sit because my ticket got screwed up. I got on the plane late. And we were chatting, and then one of you, as normal, American conversation goes, so what do you do? And I think maybe it was because I was there visiting with my coach or something.
Oh, yeah.
And I said, well, I'm an author, podcaster, blah, blah, blah. And he goes, hey, we're podcasters. And so we talked for the whole flight about podcasting.
That was great. And it was a great conversation. And then when the conversation swung around to what do you do, Jason, and when you started to explain this, it's not a philosophy. It's actually something that you put in action. It's not even a concept. It's a real world thing that you are doing. You just said 3 words: exit without exiting, and you had me at, I'm now very curious. I love this idea of, every business that I've ever run, with the exception of this business, this podcast production business that I've had for the last 7, almost 8 years. Without me in the business fails. Because I had never set up a plan, a process, a system in place to take over the work for me. So first of all, I want to talk about how you even discovered this plan or came up with this idea or maybe revised a plan that somebody else had. There's no good ideas that are original anymore. Everybody has another idea. So maybe just share with me about this exit without exiting thing and why this is such a passion for you.
In 2017, it was either 2017 or 2018, I hired my first business coach ever. And it was he who was the first person to point out to me that I was trapped, I was the middle of the business. And the way I discovered it was, we were talking through business strategy. I hired him to help me with business strategy, continue to grow. We were a very successful business, strong 7-figure bottom line. We were doing well. Like everything was going good. I didn't have any complaints. So he was trying to figure out how do we take it to the next level. And at one point during our conversations, he said something to the effect of, well, what would you do if you weren't doing this? And I said, man, like there's so many things I would rather do than run a lighting company. And he goes, okay, well, let's figure out how to get you there. And I said, okay, well, can we sell the company? And he was the person that said, well, no, you can't. I'm like, wait a minute, dude, we're doing, like, we got a strong top line, strong bottom line. Why can't I sell the company? He said, because you are the company. And just like what you said, Doug, is like I was the center of the company and it wasn't worth anything. So that was the leaping off point for me to go, well, this is not what I signed up for. And I didn't have anybody speaking into my life at the time about not doing that. And that's where the genesis moment started for me. And of course, it iterated significantly over the next several years.
Well, I want to talk about two things. One, I understand, running a lighting company and you being the guy that's in the middle. I ran a company basically called DJ Doug. I spent 30 years as an entertainer, and I was doing 85 to 100 gigs a year in the high-end social scene in Washington, D.C., and it made a strong mid six-figure income revenue stream for me, which was pretty much it was all profit. There wasn't a lot of payment that was going out with, except for a commission. But if you took me out of that business, the business completely tanked because there was only DJ Doug. Fast forward to this new company, TurnKey Productions. My partner Strickland and I discovered and decided probably about 3 or 4 years ago, if it's outside of our zone of genius, we're not going to do it. We're going to hire out for that. So editing, production, distribution, all of the things that we had not perfected, but really dialed in really tight. We started to find the result was we were working a fraction of the time, spending a little bit of money to hire outside people to do it, and making much more income because we were spending time doing the things that we were passionate and we loved. So when I talk about exit without exiting, aside from going from this, me being what's it called? The single point of failure of my own business to me being somebody that ends up delegating a lot. I still feel like, and I don't work anywhere near the amount of hours. I probably do 10 or 15 hours a week right now in my business, but I still don't know how to back even up from that while increasing my income. So can you talk to the real world possibility of something like that going on?
Why do you want more income?
Oh, it would be nice to have even more comfort. I'm almost 60 years old, and it would be great to be able to say at some point in 5 years, I'm done. I just love this business running itself, and I'm happy to just check in. But I love the idea of not having something like that I have to do every day.
Yeah. So I'd say part of the whole exit without exiting concept, for me, it was the realization that I didn't need to be in it. How do I get myself out? I couldn't sell it. So how do I get out of the middle of the weeds? And I was able to do that. And then I didn't call it exit without exiting until after I'd done it. And I kind of, as I was explaining to somebody what I did, they're like, "Oh, so you kind of exited." I'm like, "Well, no, I exited without exiting." And then that's when it stuck. And then people started saying, "Well, Jason, how did you do it?" So then that's when I started the coaching company and I wrote the book. I started telling people how to do it. But in this, I challenged people's assumptions about, well, how much what are you trying to do? How much money do you really want? Because here's the thing. Let's say you're bringing in a 7 figures to you and your family, personally, like that's it. Okay. Anybody in this country can live on 7 figures.
Hell yeah.
Quite nicely. As a matter of fact, you live in California, right?
Yeah, I'm on the West Coast.
Used to be in DC. I'm in Nashville. Anybody in the Nashville area, a household income, well, I wouldn't say household, a single person's income at $150K, you're pretty much driving whatever car you want, living within reason where you want to live, and you can do what you want. No, you don't have a yacht, you don't have a Lambo, but like you're doing okay. So at 150, things are okay.
Yeah.
You get to $600,000, $700,000, like most entrepreneurs are living at who own small businesses, maybe even to the 7 figures. Like you are at a place now where if you screw that up, that's on you. Like if you've got, let's just say $500,000. If you got $500,000 coming in a year and you're spending 100% of that, well, you're creating your own problem because, well,
Absolutely.
How do I scale it back? Like you got to figure out how to pull it back. So that's when I asked you, why do you want more income? And that was a fine question.
And I'm master conservative. I find that, and again, this is real world. I have conversations with my audience like this all the time. And I mean, I feel like, man, if I had, 6 to 10 net coming in every month, net, that I feel like I'd be living like a king. I don't live extravagantly. I don't want to live extravagantly. For those of you that are listening to that and saying, "Fuck, Doug, that's way more money than I ever make," they're like, hell, well, this is my reality. Look, I could probably live on $5,000 a month if I had to. I could probably live on less than that if I had to. Now, I do have a mortgage payment. I have insurance. I have all this stuff. I do like to put money into retirement and savings every month. So all of those things I include in that number. So for me, it's like, shit, if I knew that I had, $15,000 or $20,000 net coming in every month, then I would feel like and I knew that it was consistent. I knew that the only person that could fuck that up royally would be me, meaning that, look, the market could drop out and I probably would still earn a good percentage of that. I'd love to try to figure out, all right, well, how do I get there? Like, how do I create that income stream? Maybe people in my community are thinking the same thing. How do I create that income stream to a point where I could say, look, I'm doing great. And it doesn't matter to me how many hours I work, as long as it's not too many hours. I don't want to work so many hours, you know?
Well, I think everybody knowing what that number is really, really important. And so many people don't know what that number is. So they're chasing an ever elusive number that they've never defined.
Yeah, more is a fucking horrible goal, dude.
Yeah, more is not a good goal. Enough is a terrible word, and more is also a terrible word. Like, we got to strike enough and more out of our vocabulary. Yeah. I don't want more, and I don't want just enough. I want to make an impact in this world. So know what your number is. So if you know your number is 10 grand, for example, a net, like if you got a net 10 grand, that's 120K a year, right? And as I said, here in the Nashville area, if you live 120, 150, you're good. You're fine. You can do what you want. But you can't really make a big impact in the world at $120,000 a year.
Very true. Very true.
Do that. So what do you want to accomplish? What is it you're trying to accomplish? If you want to make a big impact in the world, you're going to have to make a lot more money than that. Well,
Jason, I am ambitiously lazy. I just want to be able to make the money. Look, I love the world and I love it out there, and I'm a nice giving guy, but fuck it right now. I want to be selfish because I have spent the last 59 years, well, working life. I've spent the last 46 years of my life working for fucking somebody else. And I'm like, meaning not, it was either a spouse at the time. It was put kids in college, and I love my ex and I love my kids, and I don't begrudge anybody for anything that they were able to receive from me. I am fucking selfish right now, and I'm okay with not having to have all of these things. Once I get to the point where I'm comfortable in my own level of income, then I'll start to think about, all right, well, now I can give another, 5-10 grand a year away to charity or to a good cause. Fuck it. I'll give my time away. I don't know. I'll teach entrepreneurs how to build a scalable model business that will work. Sorry, I know I just went off on a tangent, but that's just kind of, I don't want to be what impact are you making in the world? Fuck the impact. I want to impact myself first. Then I'm going to impact the rest of the world. Is that horrible to say though?
No, it's terribly transparent and honest, but it's going to keep you locked. It's going to keep you locked in where you're at today. That thinking.
All right, help me then. Get me out of that thought.
So that thinking's always, and that's the enough mentality. That's the two words, enough and more. Like, I just want to make enough. So let's pull that back. Like, okay, if you said, I just want to make enough for me and my family. I met your lovely wife, JJ. So like, I just want to make enough for me and my wife. Okay. Nobody's going to begrudge you for that. But if you pull that one layer back and just say, you know what? I just want to make enough for Doug. I don't care about JJ. She can do her own thing, even though you're still married, right?
Right.
I just want to do, people go, you're selfish. So why is adding one extra person to that equation not selfish?
Oh, I got you.
You see what I mean?
So
when we think, I just want to make enough, I just want to make enough for me and mine, it is selfish, although not agreed upon,
all right,
bigger one, but it is selfish. And here's the thing, that thinking will continue to keep you locked in that outcome.
I get it. I mean, I understand abundance and the law of attraction, and I understand all of those philosophies or characteristics of a person. I don't feel like me saying enough locks me in, but I'm willing to bite for a second so I can step away from myself so I can understand why that is holding me back. So what would you have me do?
So if you would say to your wife,
before you go on, it's JJ. I do call her my fake wife, but we don't physically have a marriage certificate, but my community knows that. But I just wanted to let you know that, and you're welcome to continue calling her my wife. It's totally fine. But
you're lovely, JJ. 3
would check me out. I've already been married twice, so this would be the third one. I don't want to strike out.
So if you said to JJ, if you said to her, you know what, you're not going to like this, and then you said whatever you said. 9 times out of 10, what's going to happen? She's not going to like what you said because you've planted the seed of thought that's going to predict what's going to actually happen. And so if you say, hey, I only need 10, right? If that's all you need, you're going to make 10. The number one indicator, the number one key to what we make in life is what we need to make. And what we need to make is locked in our brain. So if we say we only need 10, we're only going to make 10. I'm on track for a whole lot more than that. That's what I want to make, is a lot more than that. And I will make more because I'm attracting that. The law of attraction, I'm going there. So I would say what I would have you do is think bigger. What do you want to accomplish? What would 50 feel better? Sure, it would feel better, but you got to really focus on 50.
Okay.
$500,000, $600,000 a year income. What could you do? Where could you go? Maybe it's not just row 14 in Southwest. Maybe it's your own plane, right?
I get it.
I don't have my own plane, but I've got friends that have them. I guess, as a matter of fact, as soon as this is over, I'm picking up one of my clients who's flying up here in his plane, and we're going to go have dinner tonight. So, we got to think bigger if we want bigger.
Okay. All right. So, is thinking bigger something that's within the realm of possible for everybody, including myself that's listening to this? Now, I've always thought of myself as a very positive, very motivated, don't need a lot of push in order for me to achieve and go beyond. I'm the guy that goes out to my mailbox every day, not saying what the fuck the bills are going to come. I'm the one that says, I wonder if a check is going to be in the mail for me, and I have no idea where the check would even be coming from.
Yeah.
I've actually found checks in my mailbox written to me. I just went out to my mailbox the other day. Let's see, Monday, as a matter of fact, a $1,660 check was sitting in the mailbox from a source that I had no idea I was going to get $1,600 from, and it was from 3 years ago. I'm like, this is the greatest thing, because I go out to the mailbox knowing that there's going to be money in there. So for me, even though I say I need enough for me to live on, I don't feel like I'm going to, again, push back just a teeny little bit. I feel like I still have this abundance mentality, although I could imagine if I lifted that limiting belief, what I actually could accomplish.
I would, yeah, you would definitely accomplish a lot more. And I would say, I'll give you an example from my life, anecdotally. So back in September, I started really doing a deep dive into Think and Grow Rich, the law of attraction, started really studying. I mean, I'm not talking about just reading the book, studying
it
deeply. So I've got a friend of mine, we meet every week. We've been going through, I've gone through the workbooks. I'm going through workbooks with my son. He's 23. We're going through it together. So this is not a cursory perusing of literature. This is a deep study, which includes daily affirmations, daily mantras that I say. I created my own Duncan daily affirmation for me and my family. I actually had it printed and framed and put out for everybody to have for Christmas. This has been something. My income since then, you know what? I haven't added it up, but it's a lot. There's a lot more. I've picked up several new clients that are paying me 6 figures a year to work with me. All of this because I started shifting my mind, and it's working. Right. This law of attraction is, in fact, how God created our brains.
Absolutely.
We are sending and receiving stations. And so I'm sending out different things. And so it's working. So I just signed up another client. My coaching program, the Exeter program, is $125K for a year. And I've got these guys sign up, only have 3 slots left. I'm only going to take 7 for the year. This is a year ago, this did not exist. I didn't even have this program.
And if you were to even say to yourself 5 years ago or 10 years ago, whenever it was that you were in the lighting business, that I'm going to charge $125,000 and I'm going to fill 4, 5, 6 seats a year for that, plus some other programs that I also have that are going to create an additional flow of income as well, you probably would have said, I'm fucking nuts. There's no way I can do that. Right.
100%. When I started coaching, I was charging, I think, $1,500 a month. And I thought nobody's ever going to pay me that much money. And now here we are. But the coolest thing about that is not just how much money I'm making, it's what the impact's making to them, because each of my clients see a 3 to 5x ROI first year on that, because they're going to make a little tweak in their business, going to bring in a top line of $1 million to $2 million more into their business, or they're going to make a change on expenses. This is real stuff. And these guys are getting out of the weeds of their businesses. They're experiencing more time with their wife and their kids. I'm giving families their dads back, their wives, their husbands back. This is what this is about. It's about giving this back to their families. And that's what Exit Without Exiting delivers.
All right. We talked about not only just the philosophy, but you've put it into play. You've kind of helped me understand a little bit about some of the stuff that's probably limiting me. Now let's talk about, if we could, just for a few minutes, some of the things that really hooked me as we were on the plane, because the idea of Exit Without Exiting, great concept, love love the idea, but then I'm like, okay, well, what does that actually mean? And you gave me, you said three things. You said, how would you like to be able to work 10 hours a week and accomplish the same and make the same income or more? I said, yeah, that'd fucking be great. I don't work a lot more than that, but that would be a reduction of hours. And then you went beyond that. You said, how would you like to work 10 hours a quarter and be able to make the same income? And I was thinking 10 hours a quarter. Now that makes a lot more sense. And then you said, how would you like to work 10 hours a year and make the same amount of income? And that 10 hours a year, that thing really, and then I started thinking about, I could have a board of directors and I could have I could have people doing the work for me, and I could have a CEO and a CFO and somebody else doing the work. And probably my business would excel rather than me. I know that I am the bottleneck in my business, even doing as limited amount of stuff that I do in my company. I know I'm the bottleneck. So can we talk about how to accomplish the 10, 10, and 10 thing, just so my community understands how you work?
Yeah. So there's this thing called the law of addition by subtraction.
Okay.
And I think we've all heard things similar to that. We've heard less is more. That's kind of a colloquialism about the law of addition by subtraction. So let's say you have someone working for you, an assistant, for example, and you say, I'm going to pay you 50 grand a year to be my assistant, and it's a 40-hour work week. But ultimately, at the end of the day, I pay you for results. I don't pay you for time, I pay you for results. And you guys have this arrangement. She's working 40 hours a week. You're paying her 50 grand. So she does a really good job. And so she's been with you for a year, and she comes to you and says, you know what? I got kids that are in school. I'd like to back off the hours, but I will still do what you need me to. I'll still get it accomplished. Well, the thing is, you and I both know, like if she backs her hours down to just say half, let's say she's working 30 or 25 hours a week, she's not going to get everything done because there's too many small actions that she has to accomplish. So what you do, if you really want to give her that time and not reduce her pay, you're going to pull back some of the actions that aren't moving the needle and say, I only want you to do these actions. And these actions are going to create more reaction that I need to help me bring in the $150,000, $200,000, $300,000 I need you to help me bring in. So you are adding bottom line by subtracting things from her. And then let's say she does it again. Say, hey, I want to start traveling with my husband. The kids are out of school now, blah, blah, blah. I'm going to work 10 hours a week, but I'm going to give you the same outcome. Well, you and I both know she's not going to get everything done. So you pull all those actions away and give her big ones. Say, I just need you to work on these, because if you get these done, you're going to bring in 300 grand a year for me, a portion of which I'll give to you. That's the law of addition by subtraction. So as entrepreneurs, as business owners, we have to figure out that too. As a matter of fact, I just recorded a solo episode of my show prior to coming on this with you about productivity versus busyness. And what happens is we get busy with the small actions. And they prevent us from getting the big actions. So in order to go from 50 hours a week as an entrepreneur to 10 a quarter to 10 a year, you've got to reduce the actions that you take, but increase the outcome, the reactions. So now, if you want to go from 40 hours to 10 hours, you got to get rid of the 30 hours worth of crap that isn't moving the needle, and only do 10 hours that moves the needle, and get everybody else to do the crap that doesn't move the needle.
Aren't there some vital roles that are within your organization that it's really challenging to do? Like I find that number one, I'm the only salesperson. I'm the relationship builder and the salesperson. I'm not customer service or support, but I am the relationship builder and the salesperson within my organization. Don't I need somebody in my company to be the salesperson?
Yes.
Okay. So right, you can't. It couldn't be me. I can't go to 10 hours a week, or I'm sorry, 10 hours a quarter, or 10 hours a year if I'm the only sales guy, because that would leave a lot of money on the table when somebody's calling to want to follow up. And the other thing that's challenging is how do you get somebody out of the mentality of if I don't do it, it's not going to get done well. It's not going to get done right.
That's the hero syndrome, and I write about that in my book. This is for those of you who are going to see this on the social media. This is the book, Exit Without Exiting. I write about the hero syndrome, and that's where we, as the owner of the business, feel like we're the hero. We have to save everything, and that's not sustainable. The first year or so, I think everybody can forgive the fact that you're going to you're going to rescue every baby, you're going to rescue every damsel in distress, you're going to put out all the fires, but that's a mindset. This goes back to mindset too. That's a mindset issue that has to be overcome. But here's kind of the crux of the matter. And again, I write about this in the book. It's called The Law of the Architect. As the business owner of TurnKey Podcast Production, right? That's the name of your company.
Yep.
As the owner, You are the architect of that business, meaning you are the designer of the business, just like an architect's an architect of a building. So an architect is the designer. He or she holds the responsibility for three things in a business. And these are the only three things that you should have the role in the business. Number one, set the vision for the company. That is your role, uniquely your role. No one else can do that. Second, communicate that vision. It is your role and uniquely your role to communicate the vision, because with the vision but not communicated doesn't matter. And then the third thing is the thing that most entrepreneurs miss is build the asset. Build the asset. These three roles are the only roles that you and I, as architects of our individual businesses, should be fulfilling. If it's not setting the vision, communicating the vision, or building the asset, other people should be doing it. It should be automated or it should be eliminated.
All right.
So delegate, automate, or eliminate.
All right. I like that one too, but I wrote down the three that you just gave me. Set the vision. So I feel like I have set the vision pretty precisely with my team. I feel like I communicate that vision through my actions every day. Customer service rules this company, exceed expectations at every opportunity that you can. And you do not need to check in with me to say yes to a client to make sure that you're making the right move. Make the move. If you fucked it up, doesn't matter. I'd rather you make the wrong move and have us correct the issue than not make any move at all and have the customer standing flat-footed. Building the asset, I'm a little lost on what that is. What does that mean, building the asset?
So if you are the owner operator of the business, in most cases, just like I was, and just like you were, DJ Doug, you are the asset.
Mm-hmm.
Without you, there is no value in the business. That's why I couldn't sell a $1 million bottom line business for anything, because I was the asset of the business.
Right.
So you've got to create the business as an asset in and of itself. And for every business, it's going to be different. So for example, if you look at the negative side, if you're bringing in $1 million in revenue, but you rent your space, you don't hold inventory, it's a service-based business, and you're bringing in $1 million, and somebody comes and does an evaluation of your business, it's not worth anything. You might say, well, it should be worth $3 or $4 million, right? 3 or 4x revenue.
Mm-hmm.
No, that's not how it works, because it requires you to do it. And there's no assets that increase the value of the business. So that's the negative side. So the positive side is, in a podcast production company, do you have systems and processes and intellectual property that are just yours? Okay.
Yes.
Continue to build that. That's building the asset. Do you have certain software or technologies or applications that are yours and yours alone that make your business valuable? That would be a way to build the asset.
We've talked about that, but we're using other people's systems because it just makes the most sense right now. I mean, to get a coder in to have somebody create a system for us would be great. Expensive, but it would be good too. But I see that's an asset as well.
That's an asset. So imagine if you could pull back half of your hours. You said you're working 10 to 15, let's say 15 on the high side. If you pulled 7 hours a week and you said, I'm going to spend 7 hours every single week for the next quarter focused on how we can build some sort of asset that is unique to us that will make our business worth more money. Your business will be worth more money. And one way, like an asset, is an email list. I know you've got an email list, but an email list, a curated email list, could be worth $10 per email if they're categorized correctly. So maybe you spend 7 hours a week for the next 3 months only working on how do I categorize and get my email list right. And then 3 months from now, that email list could be worth $2 million on a balance sheet. That's building the asset. So you can't build the asset if you're in the weeds. That's why we all have to get out of the weeds.
Well, I love talking about the idea, and Strickland and I have talked about this many times. We're going to an event in Arizona in, I think it's September, October, where it's going to help us stop working in the business and spend more time working on the business and building those assets. That's what a great idea. I mean, it's a great thing in theory. It's in practice for a guy that has worked his entire life as the guy that is the name behind the business. It's really hard sometimes to step out of that, but I can see that that's the direction that we have to go in order for us to really value this business at higher level than it is right now.
Yeah. Well, you said you're almost 60 and you're wanting to pull back. You want to make, you got a certain dollar amount. Well, just think, if you spent the next 6 months of the 2023 focused on building the asset, and that's all you focused on. Now, obviously you got to do podcasts. There's certain things you got to do every day. Yeah. That's fine. But if you really focus on building the asset, by the end of the year, you could add a couple of $1 million to the, not to the bottom line, but to the balance sheet, that you can now shop your company. Not that you want to sell it, but you could shop your company, say, look, our company's worth X millions of dollars. And then that you could leverage that as a balance sheet item into capital that you could go invest in other businesses and real estate, et cetera, that increases your overall cash flow.
Who's the right person, Jason, to start working with you? You got somebody in my audience that is an early stage entrepreneur. You have someone that is mid-level, and you have somebody that is, hey, I got this business. It's running along really good. We're at mid 6 figures, 7 figures. Where do you see somebody hitting your business?
So my ideal client that I work with is mostly going to be doing minimum of about 3 million a year in revenue and then up. And they're mostly going to be 30 to 50-year-old male entrepreneurs that started a business. They got 10 or more employees. That's my ideal client that I work with in my Exeter program. I only take 7 guys in the Exeter program per year. Those are all people I work with one-on-one, plus they get access to my mastermind. Now, the mastermind is I take in different guys there that making maybe making $1 million a year in revenue, not bottom line, but revenue. So the mastermind and the one-on-one coaching program are usually the entrepreneurs that have been in a while and they're achieving success, but they are a little stuck, a little burnout, don't know what to do next. But I know you said there's a lot of early stage folks that listen to this show. So here's the thing that I would encourage them to do. 4 times a year, I host a very small, intimate retreat called The Third Mind. It's only 5 people at a time, so it's very, very small. And these could be entrepreneurs that are just getting started. I just did one last weekend, and one of the guys is a paramedic fireman, and he owns one real estate, one door, and he's trying to figure out how to become an entrepreneur. So this works for him too. And then I had guys in there doing $15-20 million a year in their businesses. So it's the gamut. Cool. But what we do is we do 3 deep days into your idea and what you want to accomplish. And when you leave, you have a 90-day written plan for how to accomplish that. And I only take 5 people at a time. So that's anybody. And I do those 4 times a year. The next one's coming up, I think, at the end of September.
And will they get that information if they just head over to your website?
Yeah, well, it's actually a little bit hidden because I only do it through promotions. It's not something that's prevalent but I will tell you how to get to it. So it's therealjasonduncan.com/intensive. And if you go there, you'll see the information about the 3 days that we do. It's at my cabin in the Smoky Mountains of East Tennessee. We hire a chef to come in and prepare all our food for us. It is a top shelf event. It's only $2,500, so it's not. This is easy. Anybody can do this, and you will walk away with a 90-day written plan that will change your life. And what's funny is that these guys that just went last week, they're starting to send messages through our chat program. Hey, I checked off 3 things on my 90-day written plan, and they're all excited about what they're accomplishing.
All right. So I just put a link in the show notes for those in our community. You can either go to therealjasonduncan.com or you can go to therealjasonduncan.com/intensive. And there is the 3-day intensive information will be right there. Man, this is cool. Give me a little bit of promo on your book also, so that those that are listening to this, I know you held it up, but since it's an audio podcast, Exit Without Exiting, he's holding it up right now. Very attractive. You'll have to take my word for it. But tell us a little bit about the makeup of the book, so those that are interested can partake.
So Exit Without Exiting is a book that I wrote to explain what I did and how I did it. But then after I got done writing, I thought, this book sucks. Nobody's going to read this. So I had to go back and retool the whole book around 3 stories of entrepreneurs who did different versions of exiting. So I tell the story of a guy named Edward who did it like most entrepreneurs. He works all these years. He's the center of his business, and then he gets ready to sell and he can't. He has to do an earn out because he's still required to be. And I tell that story and I show what happened and where the decision points were that caused him to not live the life that he truly desired. Then I tell the story of an entrepreneur named Cheryl who did what we all want to do, but very few do it, like less than 2%. You start a business at your kitchen table and you sell it for FU money. You sell it for you never have to work again money. And she did it. But then I take you through the regrets that she had about the time she missed with her kids and all the things that it took to sacrifice to get there. And then I tell the final stories about James. And James is our prototypical character who did the exit without exiting, how he built a business that didn't require him. And he got to experience all the financial and tax benefits of owning that business, yet while only putting in 10 hours a year into the business. So it's a really good 3-story version of Exit Without Exiting. I think everybody would enjoy.
That is very cool. That's cool. Well, I'm looking forward to getting my own autographed copy of that book. I got to figure out how to finagle that to make its way to me, because I know everybody does everything through Amazon nowadays. Are you on your website with your book, or are you through Amazon?
Yes, I hate Amazon with a passion. Everybody should get off Amazon. They're terrible. I could tell you the whole story why. Now that being said, my book
they come here like 8 times a week. You bet. I can't stop Amazon. I can't go cold turkey.
But they stole $32,000 from me on one of the e-commerce stores I had on there. Plus, they screwed me on my book. Never got paid for it. My book is there. You can go buy it there. But I have no control over the money. I don't get paid at Amazon. Like if you buy it on Amazon, that's up to you. The ebook is on there for free. I never wanted that to happen. Like all that they've screwed me. So if you go to my website, it's only $15, $16, but it's right there on the website, therealjasonduncan.com.
Yeah, but can you get paper towels and napkins and skateboards from therealjasonduncan.com?
Listen, if you have money, I'll get you whatever you need.
I understand. Jason, brother, thanks for sharing the airplane row with us, and thanks for being on the show. Looking forward to hearing more and getting some positive feedback from our community. Thanks for sharing.
Thank you, man.
Hey, Nice Guy community, never underestimate the power of nice. A special thanks to Jason Duncan. All of his information, including access to all of his programs, including the secret way to get to the 3-day intensive, right there in the show notes. Steve O'Brien, go ahead and take us out of here.
For the Nice Guys on Business, I'm Steve O'Brien. Fill up your week with the nice guys. Haven't they run out of people willing to talk to them yet?